Okay, and we are live. Okay, hi guys. I guess we're doing a slight follow-up stream to earlier stream. On identity. Okay, I guess I kind of wanted to address something really interesting from last time. There's been a lot of recent drama regarding the alt-right, and I kind of still have no idea what the fuck that means. I know that for a while the people were going on about everyone who supports Trump's being alt-right, the Pepe being an alt-right symbol, and everyone else being an alt-right symbol. I'm pretty sure that at some point they called Discord an alt-right server or a place for alt-right people to gather and communicate. 4chan was alt-right at some point. Alex Jones was alt-right. Actually, from your guys' memory, do you remember who else was called alt-right?
Literally everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it's an extension. They're coming up with new ways to call people Nazis, right? So you'll have people call, Trump is frequently not called a Nazi, now he's called a populist, right? Which is just, their kind of sideways way of calling him a Nazi still, because Hitler was also a populist, right?
Right. Okay, so Hitler was a populist, Trump was a populist, but first Trump was a symbol of the alt-right, or did the alt-right choose Trump as a symbol for themselves?
The alt-right. I remember alt-right meant alternative right, and since Trump was not a favor for the GOP candidacy from the party itself, then he was alternative right because he was not establishment right. You had your Jeb Bushes, you had your Rubios or whoever, and those were like the people the establishment wanted to be the GOP candidate. And it was pretty clear, it wasn't as severe as Bernie Sanders, but it was pretty clear that the Republican Party did not want Trump to be the nominee. So he was the alt-right.
So Trump was the alt-right candidate as an alternative to the regular right.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone else
I remember that Milo started calling himself alt-right as a joke, as like a counter to the regressive left or something. Like they were supposed to be the alternative right, like the new right. And then they found out that that already existed, and they were actually white supremacists. Okay. And they wanted
but I talked to a few people.
That could be a lie.
Like if you guys know Evil Gunny, Siggy, your signal keeps cutting out really badly.
Everybody is. You are too.
No, that's your internet. I'm not cutting out. No one else is cutting out for me. We're
literally just cut out for me.
Yeah, for you because you're
cutting out for me as well, Siggy.
See, Siggy, that's just like your perspective. You have just like that viewpoint.
But no, Milo was called the alt-right by the mainstream media, and then he eventually decided to not be alt-right. I guess
it's because the movement was forced by a group of white nationalists.
Was it? Okay, what I want to say was that you guys know Evil Gunny. He shows up in all the live chats. He claimed that he's been part of the alt-right for the better part of the last 20 years. It never had any racist intentions in it. It was just an alternative to something else.
That's why I said it was coerced.
So you think
I did not say it was permanently a white supremacist or white nationalist organization. I said lately it has been coerced by a group of white supremacists or nationalists rather. I mean, you look at the last year. I mean, I remember a bunch of old people calling themselves the alt-right that were voting for Trump, and they don't have a single racist bone in their body. They fought for the country in World War II and Korea.
Wasn't the Tea Party also considered an alt-right party?
No, it was not.
They were an alternative.
Not really, because it was a reactionary movement to the the crony swamp, if you will. But no, I don't think it's not really an alternative to the right. I mean, if you're going to say that that's an alternative to the right, and you're also going to have to say that the left is the alternative to the right as well. So technically, the left is alt-right. I mean, if we're going to go by that logic,
I think that certain things just need to be made clear because there's like all this confusion. You've got literal racist, Nazi sympathizing jackasses. And that's a thing. It's a real thing. You also have people that will point at anybody who is politically opposed to them as a Nazi. And then you've got everybody in between, and it creates this gray zone, right? Because everybody who is opposed to that position becomes a Nazi. Just everybody, not them, is a Nazi. But the and if you try and say, but I'm not a Nazi or blah, 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 they will point at the actual Nazi. It's like, okay, great, fine, you found Harold. Good job, right? But there's like a zillion other people who are getting nailed by this. And it's this continuous reflexive thing where anybody who opposes them. So let's just say you want to have stricter immigration policy into the United States. Obviously, the only reason you would do that is because you're a Nazi. Let's say you would like to have better fiscal policy, right? You just like maybe there's an issue of government excess. You'd like to maybe rein in the welfare state a little bit. Only reason you'd want to do that is because you want racial groups, whatever, to be impaired. And if you could like shoehorn some accusations of misogyny in here at any point, that's excellent, and it's just this endless thing. And I think there's a lot of people who are going after the alt-right now to prove that they're not a Nazi, not understanding that you're always going to be a Nazi unless you agree with the people that throw that label around endlessly. And basically they'll just call you a Nazi anyway after they've run out of everyone else to burn. So you're just basically negotiating to be killed last.
I like that. The negotiation to be killed last. So basically, you're saying that the entire alt-right definition, according to not the alt-right, that's defined as by the left, is that anyone who doesn't agree 100% with the left. You're instantly Hitler, you're instantly a fascist, you're instantly a white supremacist.
There are actual racist assholes, right? The thing is that everyone that disagrees with the progressives gets labeled a Nazi. It doesn't matter. So for example, what's his fucking name? Presidential candidate against Obama in the previous election.
Edwards.
No.
Obama.
Al Franken.
Against Obama, not in the primary. Sorry, I'm name retarded.
Oh, the Republican.
Yes.
Sorry, wasn't it Obama?
There we go. We got Mitt Romney.
There we go. Romney was accused of being basically fascistic, right? Everybody is. It doesn't matter, right? Alex Jones has been called a fascist. That guy is, if anything, an anarchist, right? I mean, he has no interest in some sort of authoritarian government where you're annihilating any particular race. I'm not saying I like Alex Jones or I think that he's like a sensible figure, but to point at him and say, yeah, same as Hitler. What? The thing is that literally everybody that isn't in lockstep with the progressives is a Nazi. And it renders the entire discussion ridiculous. So and why beat up on the alt-right? I mean, how much political support do they have? Just about none. How much support in academia do they have? Just about none. How much support in the media do they have? Just about none. How many international groups are fronting for them? Just about none. Okay, so they are, they always say, speak to power. Well, the alt-right isn't power. Okay, they're a bunch of idiots.
Are you suggesting that the left is actually punching down when going after the alt-right?
I don't know, punching up or punching down, who cares? That's the progressive notion of what's fair. You go after, hit them if you want. Thing is that they have no power, so why? It's pointless. It's like you're just going off and slapping some little girl around at a lemonade stand. She might be a racist little girl. But the thing is, she's not going to do anything. They have no ability to have any kind of ethics. And the argument made for it is, well, we're stopping them now before they take over. Get real. They're going nowhere.
Okay. Nazis have okay. They're decrease in Nazis, skinheads. So what are they even called outside of their?
I think one good way to view this is like this. There are 2 white supremacist organizations within a 10-mile radius of where I live in a county of a little bit over 60,000 people. Now, I've lived in this county for 7 years now, and do you know how many times anyone from either of these groups has been seen with like Nazi swastikas or something, or I open up the paper and it's like black teenager tied to truck, beaten up and drug across country road, or even I don't know, black kid or gay kid gets called a faggot or a nigger by people in a pickup truck. It hasn't come up yet, and it's been 7 years, about 10% of my life. So if these people do exist, they're not really doing a lot anyway.
Well, and there's always this desperate attempt to create Nazis.
Hold on. Okay. Daniel, you were talking about your town being basically a KKK town, no?
The town next door that I used to live in when I was a kid, yeah. They one night somebody went up the water tower like 20 years ago and spray painted over the town name and then put KKK. And that stayed there for at least 10 years before somebody decided that they should probably fix it. That's how okay with it that town was.
So how many black people did they beat up?
1. I was a part of it, but he totally deserved it. It wasn't a race-based crime. So
then 0.
No race-based crimes that I'm aware of.
I'm from the state that has I think that's like the largest contingent of KKK active members still, which is in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. It's like one of the only active headquarters left. I hardly I have not seen within the last 22 years of my life anything resembling that of a hate crime. I think there's been like maybe 3 or 4 examples, but that's from like larger cities. That's not in little rural towns around here.
Well, here's the other thing. Here's the other thing: is you also have a continuous attempt to inflate the numbers of these guys. So, like, there'll be a swastika that will be found graffitied on a wall, or a noose hung on a tree, or some like racist stuff scrawled around one place, or a note left, or a threatening email or something. And people take it seriously because they actually want to, preserve a safe environment for people, and they don't want this intimidation. So it gets investigated. Oh no, it gets investigated, and when it gets investigated, they tend to find, oh shit, the guy that is complaining about it, 9 times out of 10, at least over the last year or so that I've been watching this, probably the last couple of years, it was the guy that was complaining about it that did it. The guy who's triggered about the noose in a tree is the guy who tied the noose and put it up there. The guy who was complaining about the swastika on the wall, well, he was later found to have painted the swastika on the wall. There was a guy who was in the Navy, and he said that his bunk was torn up and a bunch of racist stuff was written all over the wall. It turned out that he was the one who did it. And it's this just recurring thing. And the threatening emails, we've seen this with the feminist thing as well, oft as not. They'll get all this really awful, death threats and hate mail, and people will look into it, and they'll find that most of the messages, if not all of them, came from a sock puppet account from the same fucking crazy person.
Yeah, I think one of the most serious examples over the past year was that black church in Alabama, I believe it was, that got burned down and had "Vote Trump" spray painted on it. And one of the black parishioners burned down their own church.
Yep, I remember that.
Now, again, I'm not saying there aren't racists. There obviously are. The thing is that there is an overweening desire by particularly progressives to create violent, clear and present danger, racist people that are their political opposition, that gives them the justification to no platform anyone that isn't them, right? And that's the agenda. The agenda is to no platform everybody that isn't them by labeling anyone that isn't them a Nazi. And it's like, well, okay, great.
So can most of us agree that under these conditions and circumstances, the majority of us would have been labeled alt-right at some point or another?
I'm sure I still will be.
One at a time, please.
I'm sure in the future I will be labeled alt-right. It's almost a certainty. Okay, I'm done.
Well,
it gets worse. So, I mean, there's that. But look, again, to restate, everybody that is not them will ultimately get labeled a Nazi. Ultimately. It doesn't matter. Okay? The Wall Street Journal gets called a Nazi. Okay? There's no way out of this. Farage is called a Nazi. Right?
True.
In
I
the
remember
UK.
that.
Okay? They're all called, everybody. So it's never going to stop. And it creates a situation where it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's the thing with the feminists where they call everybody that has a penis a rapist, right?
Yes.
They redefine rape so that they can basically just accuse everybody of rape. And we can see the hilarious consequences of that. This is, burning its way through the entertainment industry, the media industry, all over politics, where you just crook your finger at somebody, say, 40 years ago, he touched me. Well, I guess that's the end of that senatorial career. And people can say, there are sleazebags. Okay, well, the same thing. Yeah, of course, Harvey Weinstein is a sleazebag.
Well,
but does it matter?
hold on. I didn't want this to turn into one of those streams, but I guess I'm going to have to sit here and maybe defend Harvey Weinstein just a little bit. I mean, the California. I'm sorry. I'm going to assume it's Californians, liberals, and actually liberals from over here, from the other coast as well. From I've been continuously even in Vancouver, both Vancouver and Toronto. I've been sitting around and demanding.
It's happening in Europe.
Hold on, just demanding that that women be allowed to use their bodies, however they want, and that includes through making money through the sex trade. All Harvey Weinstein did was literally allow them to use their bodies to what do you want to call it? Audition themselves?
Advance their career?
Advance their career. Maybe a little bit of payments, sexual payments. And they were in the liberal left was all about sexual payments. They were all about using your sexuality for however you want, for whenever you want. We shouldn't be calling them sluts. But now these same sluts are coming out and saying, I was used. I let myself be used, but I was used. And how dare he use me? How dare he absolutely suggest that my sexuality is up for grabs, is up for the taking, is up for him to use? We were joking about this in the other stream that soon there'll be hooker unions.
There already are.
I'm sure. They'll fucking go all kinds of different places, and you'll see more and more hookers and prostitutes and actresses come out and say that the sex scenes that they got millions and millions of dollars for, they didn't actually consent. It had to be part of their contract, and they just went with it because they're powerless damsels in distress, and they need to be saved.
Yep.
Now, most of these women, when it came to Harvey Weinstein, absolutely agreed and accepted his sexual advances for the most part. They took it, they went with it, they jerked him off, they sucked his dick, they let him fuck him in the ass, and then they got millions of dollars to be in his movies. Millions of dollars. No prostitute out there gets millions of dollars. Okay, they absolutely had to do some work. Some of them also had to get naked for the movie, and some of them had to be in the movie. And that's 6 months of shooting for a couple of $1 million. That must be hard work. I keep hearing how much hard work that is from actors. But now they're regretting it. Are they going to give their money back? Are they going to give their Oscars back? When they actually want to charge Harvey Weinstein?
Well, it's worse than that, though, because here's the thing. Let's just accept, as for the sake of argument, that Harvey Weinstein is all the awful things they say he is. Okay, just all of them. The thing is that the definition of what is rape and what is sexual harassment is this continuously like little moving thing, and the evidence required for it is this sort of nebulous court of public opinion thing, right? So, at what point is anyone anything? And they can just redefine it as they go. That's why I'm bringing this up, and I'm connecting it to the whole thing where they just point at somebody and then you become a Nazi, because it's the same mentality where there isn't necessarily evidence. And again, I'm not saying that there are not rapists. I think we all agree that rapists, hang them up by the balls until dead, but they have to actually be rapists. It can't just be Sally is mad at Dave. And sometimes that's the guy that gets accused. It's Dave because Sally's mad. And I'm not burning Dave at the stake for that. And it's
but Sally really wants you to burn Dave at the stake and renounce your masculinity at the same time.
Right. Exactly. But yeah.
Well, I feel like we slightly moved off topic, and I'm really sorry. That's probably my fault.
No, because it is. No, it's exactly on topic. Because what it is it's about exploiting society's abhorrence against immorality and things that we find anathema to us, right? So the Nazis are anathema. They're like synonymous with just evil, right? And we've decided morally as a society that racism is bad. And rape is something that has generally been understood to be something that you literally kill people for since, I don't know, Neolithic times, right? So they exploit that because what they want is they want you to kill their opposition. They want you to take a rock and cave in the head of the person who would dare question their opinion on budgetary policy or foreign policy or any other little aspect of a republic democratic society where people exchange ideas. You're not allowed to do that. You get no platform because you are the devil.
It isn't. Fuck. Okay. Fine, no platform because you're the devil. But where do you think we're gonna go with this? How many more people get called a rapist? How many more people get called a Nazi? How many more people are going to continuously?
I got this one. Okay, sure. Everyone who is accused that won't, after the accusation, go up to the mic with their nice suit. No, they'll smooth out their tie before I say this, and they'll do a little cough, and they'll say, sometimes bitches be lying and shit. And everyone who doesn't do that, because we all know you have to believe the victim, everyone who doesn't say bitches be lying sometimes will just have to resign. And what those people are thinking, I believe, is that if they say, if they're thinking in their head, if I don't say these women are lying because all victims need to be believed, then I have a chance in the future of redemption. I'll be like, because they're all like, oh, well, I believe this woman's experience that said I came on her glasses and everything. While I believe her experience, that's not how I remember it.
Okay.
Right.
So
and that's gonna have a Darwinistic effect, right, on the whole thing, right? I mean, everyone who agrees is ultimately just going to get burned. And then the only people that are going to be left are going to be people who walk around with their middle fingers pointed in all directions because everyone else will be dead.
Yep.
So like a straight up witch hunt at this point then. People are going to go around looking for Nazis, looking for fascists, looking for rapists, looking for just generally authoritarian people, or not even authoritarian people. Who is this? Just like I think this is just turning into a witch hunt. Then
it's been a witch hunt for years.
Yeah.
I mean, like, okay, look, I'm going to reference something that you youngsters may not have heard of yet. If you're the Gamergate, there's this one time, when
yeah, I heard someone talk about that once.
Yeah, there was like this thing called Gamergate, where anyone who enjoyed running around in a computer game and shooting dudes in the head was a woman-hating misogynist, because he enjoyed video games that had a component of skill and action. Because, if it's not, the game isn't Knitting Circle Simulator, apparently you hate women.
Why aren't you baking a cake?
First-person shooters are literally promoting rape culture.
Yeah.
So did you want me to read about the neo-reactionaries? That this person is... Basically, that's what they define the alt-right as, neo-reactionaries.
Interesting. Side note, since I haven't said it yet, I am the president of the alt-right. So, the end. Go on, Bluekin.
Okay, sure.
So,
go on.
In this paper, I've skipped down a couple pages to page 9. Where he starts getting into their description of what they see the alt-right as. And so the alt-right is neo-reactionaries. And it says, neo-reactionaries are somewhat varied, but the core beliefs are summed up by the neo-reactionary Anisimov, I don't know what that is, are a rejection of equality, a commitment to right-wing politics, a commitment to hierarchy, a commitment to traditional sex roles, a rejection of libertarianism, and a rejection of democracy. Obviously, this is somewhat vague, and the commonalities do indeed go further than these 6 points. Thus, here is a perhaps more comprehensive list of the backbone of neo-reactionary values. Transhumanism and faith in the power of technology as a means towards other ends. An authoritarian form of government. In more moderate or reasonable forms, this takes the form of running the country as a joint stock corporation. This is, for example, is Moldbug's position, which is well within the norm of neoliberal thought. This, however, blends into calling for monarchy and aristocracy in more extreme variants, with the ruler usually in either case being either a tech CEO, with several proposals being floated to make Eric Schmidt, Elon Musk, or Peter Thiel CEO of America, or a super-intelligent machinic mind. The neo-reactionaries hope to be the aristocrats, or sometimes monarchs of their own in a patchwork of principalities, somewhat reminiscent of the Holy Roman Empire.
Are they seriously suggesting a superintelligence?
Yes.
Digital superintelligence rule?
Will has informed us.
Will we get meat on our birthday?
It has literally no connection to ideology X or Y, though.
Right.
You will find socialists and whatever who are advocating that as much as anything.
Yeah.
The thing here's one thing. This is like a little Orwellian trick that you will notice. How many times are socialists or communists referred to as neo anything?
Yep.
Never. Weird, because the term is supposed to just mean new, right? But they only use it when it's not a socialist or a communist. Now, so what they are doing with that is because there's an association between the word neo and the term neo-Nazi. Neo is another way of them just kind of like labeling something. It's like populist, whatever. It's another way of going like, oh, so you're some flavor of Nazi, huh? Because the word neo is in there.
That explains the neocon pledge graphic you're using over there.
Yep.
Because, neocons are all Nazis.
So there are 8 of these.
Okay.
Do you want me to read you some more?
Yeah.
I just want to establish right there that absolutely. I wonder how the computer is going to take any of these things properly. How the hell is he going to decipher morality or understanding? I'm sure you can't actually program philosophy into it.
Oh, have you guys been having any fun with Wobot?
No, what's Wobot?
Oh, Wobot's hilarious. Does anyone know about this? It's a Facebook thing that it works through Facebook Messenger. It's a behavioral cognitive therapy thing. I don't know if that's the exact term. It's something like that. And it's a chat bot that is supposed to psychoanalyze and you somehow. It's adorable for a chatbot. I mean, normally chatbots make me hate them. Wobot is just a peach and very respectful. Comes in, asks you questions, little quirky response. He'll say "coolio" to stuff, and it's like, oh, thank you, Wobot. At the end of messages, he will send you little baby hedgehogs. A GIF of a little baby hedgehog that's getting tickled. It's like, oh, I can't stay mad at you, Wobot. So it's kind of, I mean, imagine if your AI overlord were that thing. It's like, well, you're
constantly humoring you?
Yeah. Because robots don't care. They have no egos to care if all they're doing is stroking your ego. It doesn't diminish their own. They don't care.
Sure.
Okay. So I guess Wobot's there to give you a false sense of security, while Facebook absolutely takes everything you own, including your identity, your images, your weren't they last known to be stealing your biometrics from your phone, and then selling it to God knows who?
Well, now they're also psychoanalyzing you, maybe, and God knows what.
Once you start talking about, I did hear about this, and the entire bot is absolutely designed to monitor and keep track of your state of mind and your mood, and it's supposed to change it.
Yeah.
Apparently, Facebook is now into changing the way you think.
You know why, right?
Because Facebook does not allow negativity?
No, so that they can better influence elections and things like that.
Well, Marcus Zuckerberg is going to run for president. That's why
Mark Zuckerberg is running for president.
Yeah, that's why he's taking classes to learn how to be human. And I mean, it's going to be really simple. Tuck covered this, and that's another reason why they're doing the what you call it. They have a suicide prevention thing now, so like he can be flagged if Loki says, "Oh man, it was a really rough day today. I think I'm just going to end it." And then I click a little button, and Will clicks a little button, and then eventually you get a little notification. It's like, "Hey Loki, we're concerned about you, and we want to give you this toll-free number."
Are you sure it's a toll-free number? You sure they don't just call your phone because they have all of your information anyway?
Well, see,
what if I was just going to sleep, guys? What if I was just going to sleep? I just want to end the day, not my life.
Yeah, well, the problem with that is, Loki, the people who use Facebook are frequently are liberals. So Mark Zuckerberg needs them alive so they can vote for him in 2020, or 2028, or 2032.
I mean, it's all these things can be explained away as innocent one thing or another, and to certain extents they probably are all those things. The mistake that people make with that, they will often say, "Oh, that's just a conspiracy." The problem is that some people are, in fact, extremely cynical, and whilst you can create all kinds of things that help people genuinely or are totally innocent, if they have a negative or a subversive application, somebody ultimately, if they can, will use it for that. And so let's say Mark Zuckerberg is salt of the earth, wonderful guy, wouldn't want to exploit anybody. Let's just go with that as a thought.
Did we already see a movie about him?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm
Doing the opposite.
Let's just sake of argument, say he is just a swell fellow. The thing is that if he comes up with something that can be used to control people, can be used to influence people, maybe just to keep them emotionally suggestible, right? Because that's something that people are psychologically studying all the time. Kind of messing with people a little bit. It's an element of cults, right? You just kind of screw with people's worldview so that you can tell them that, they need to kill their parents and sacrifice the blood god. And if you have a system for doing that, well, the people that come up with the system might not use it to do that. They might go, that'd be messed up, man. I'd never do that. But they set the whole thing up. and it's ready to go. And eventually, someone's going to come along and it's going to like, yeah, I'd like to get the virgin sacrifices. So they just press go on that, and then there you go.
Right.
It's like nuclear bombs. It's like, okay, the first person who comes, I mean, obviously, the first person who did come up with it immediately nuked Japan. But if the United States hadn't nuked Japan, somebody eventually would have nuked somebody.
Well, weren't they saying that Hitler was super, super close to developing the nuclear bomb?
Less so than they feared. But it doesn't matter. Let's say it didn't happen for 50 years or 100 years or 200 years or 1,000 years. Eventually, you're going to get a nuclear war. It's going to happen. I mean, we are vicious, opportunistic omnivores. We're going to do stuff.
Right.
Yep.
So, right. Okay, we I feel like we're just fucking floating further and further away from the topic at hand. The chat is reminding me that apparently we should have more alt-right people in the actual stream.
I'm president of the alt-right.
Yeah, we literally have the president of the alt-right.
That's true.
That kind of defeats the purpose of calling it the kids aren't alt-right, but since the kids are alt-right...
well, the thing is are you a progressive? No? Then you're Nazi.
But
done.
Progressivism changes so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was... okay, I tell the story too often, so but I'm going to tell it anyway. When I was in university, when me and Siggy were both in school, they were all my teachers were preaching about the evils of globalism and how when you create globalism, corporations can go overseas and fuck with everyone else very easily. So globalism is actually a bad thing. But just a few years down the way, they decided globalism is the only answer.
Right.
Which
what happened was, well, because it went from George Bush to Barack Obama, and suddenly it was all fine. Remember, one of my favorite examples is Code Pink. No one remembers Code Pink, but they were huge during the Bush administration. And they were running around. They were anti-war protesters. They were women. They would dress in all pink, and they got on the news all the time. They were in the newspaper all the time. They were protesting, the Iraq War and Afghanistan and all that jazz.
Yep.
And the instant Barack Obama became president, they stopped showing up in the newspapers. Now, what most people don't know is they didn't stop protesting. It's just that the newspapers and the media stopped covering. So they'd show up, and a bunch of ladies would show up with their little pink outfits, and they'd hold their little signs, and the cameras wouldn't be there. The cameras had been on them for months and months and months and months. They were like guaranteed to be on CNN, ABC, all these things every single time they went out, and all of a sudden, nothing. They were unpersoned. Now, is that because Barack Obama stopped dropping bombs? Nope. Is it because everybody got let out of Gitmo? No. I mean, again, they were these ladies who cared about, they were anti-war activists, right? They wanted peace. They didn't stop protesting. They stopped getting covered. Why? I mean, it doesn't take. There's no other answer.
Because they weren't as relevant anymore?
No, because they didn't suit the narrative. You run into this all the time with media organizations. They're not allowed. It's not good journalistic practice to editorialize in the news. But let's say you want to editorialize in the news. Well, you do that by selecting who you cover in your story, and that permits you to control the narrative. I mean, what we've seen recently in the media is 90% of all stories about Donald Trump have been negative. This is like Pew and Gallup fucking statistics. They've gone through all of the reports, and roughly 90% of everything that's come out about Donald Trump has been negative. Now, I'm okay with it being a majority, but 90%? This is like Saddam Hussein levels of propaganda, right? Well, this is ridiculous. This is what I would expect in Castro's Cuba.
I don't think Saddam Hussein had metrics that bad.
Yeah. No.
I don't think Hitler had metrics that bad. I think they're literally writing Trump. Okay, it almost seems like they realized that they can control the majority of the narrative, and they, as they taught me in school, that what's called the victor writes history. So they're literally trying to write history while trying to defeat Trump as if he literally is Hitler. Or as if he's some grand enemy that they have to stand up against and actually fight. Because why? Well, why are they fighting Trump?
Because
he's white and politically incorrect.
No, because he's got an R after his name, and because he's also spitting in their eye. He's not afraid of them, or at least he's not bowing and scraping to them. Most of the people that they go up against are terrified of them, and they'll make some kind of lip service to their shenanigans. And as a result, even when they lose, they kind of win because everyone is buying in to their notion of right and wrong.
So is that all this is? It's just Trump is not willing to bow down to the narrative, and therefore they got to go after him with everything they possibly have because he's not part of the status quo?
Yep. Well, no, he is spitting in their God's eye. They have to destroy it.
He may have been spitting in their God's eye at some point, but I feel like the only thing he does that might even spit in their eye was shitpost on Twitter.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Is that all it takes? Just shitposting? Like I know Twitter's about to reinstall that new patch where they literally start banning and kicking people off the platform for promoting or suggesting that they've read other websites. That's Twitter fucking doesn't agree with, which is fine with me. Way more people are just gonna leave the site. I don't think Twitter's that important. I know they've built themselves up as this journalistic fucking pillar, milestone. No, not a milestone. Yeah, I guess it's pillar of journalism, universal global journalism that everyone wants them to think they are, and now they can't handle shitposting on there.
It also gives the lie to the whole notion of net neutrality that they're pushing at this point, because they talk about, oh, well, it'd be terrible if on the internet, these big corporations controlled what people were allowed to see and all that sort of stuff. And then they blithely accept precisely that out of Facebook and Twitter and so on. Because, again, anyone who disagrees with them is a Nazi, or a misogynist, or any other, double plus wrong think name they come up for something. I mean, it's not almost Orwellian. It is Orwellian. We're all running around with new definitions of right and wrong, new definitions of what all of our terms mean. The Department of War becomes the Department of Defense, becomes the Department of Peace. It's this crazy situation where language is disassociated from meaning. Right and left. What does that mean? What does the middle mean? It's this shifting whatever. And in that context, anything becomes anything. And if I can destroy you simply by shifting the anything that can be anything to be bad for 5 seconds and then you die, well, then I'm God King of your civilization. And that's what they're after.
Is that it? That's just all of our hearts and minds?
Is there anything else?
Yes.
If there's anything else, they want it too.
Well, they can't have one thing. The one thing that I personally find important, and that's the truth.
Oh, but the truth is subjective, my dude.
It is to them, and I think that's where their entire narrative mostly falls apart. Like, I think I set the stream up specifically to point out that I don't believe that the alt-right is the alt-right for any part of it. Because whoever decided that the alt-right is the alt-right clearly didn't know, well, anything.
Well, here's the other thing.
Like I've said, I've seen Ben Shapiro get called alt-right, and that doesn't make any sense. He's spoken about this himself. Like Jordan Peterson gets called alt-right because he doesn't stand for the trans fucking pronoun game. The Barian gets called an alt-right because he makes fun of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you supposed to even do with that?
Oh, but it gets better. Because they are also, it gets back to the thing with the swastikas that are scrolled on walls, right? I'm not saying, again, I want to be very clear, there are racists, there are Nazis. They create them when they don't find them because they need them to justify their own misbehavior. And so one of the things we've been seeing with the quote alt-right is we've been seeing literal controlled opposition in that they will, a bunch of Antifa people, generally speaking, will go and just create or organize some event. I mean, the Unite the Right event, it turned out that one of the primary organizers was an Occupy Wall Street / Obama guy.
Well, I didn't want to get into that just yet, but since DA can't be bothered to show up, I guess. Would you like to tell the full story since he's not going to be here too?
Everybody knows this. You know, this is an internet search away, and anyone who wants to do it, just have a party. You can do that. The Unite the Right guy was found to be an Obama Occupy Wall Street guy. So citing him as being, you know, this arch, you know, racist whatever thing is probably ridiculous. We've got George Soros, and I know, you know, a whole bunch of people are just immediately triggered when I throw that. It's like, oh, what conspiracy theory, whatever. There's a certain amount of white Persian cat petting you can point at and prove from George Soros. Maybe it's inflated to some extent, but there's a lot of stuff. The man's got his fingers in a lot of pies. And there's certainly a lot of sort of subversive activism that he's been involved in. And then, like DA, who didn't show up for whatever reason, he personally infiltrated a alt-right group on Facebook, thinking he was going to infiltrate an alt-right group. And little did he know, the entire thing was being run by Antifa people who were trying to bait alt-right people into it so that they could then dox them. Right? This stuff is going on pervasively all over the place. What portion of the alt-right organization is even actually in genuine sympathy with the stated beliefs? What portion of it is just Antifa running around trying to create as much controlled opposition as they possibly can to distract from the fact that they're the ones who actually are hitting people in the head with bike locks? They're the ones who are actually, having an impact on government, actually have in some kind of a position in academia, in the media, to focus on the alt-right when Antifa has demonstrably, dramatically more power and has demonstrably, radically more effect on society, positive and negative. I mean, I'm throwing the positive out there just to be fair. Right? Okay. I'm sure they've probably done something that was positive at some point, but their effect, just period, so dramatically outstrips anything you could possibly hang on the alt-right. That the notion of going after the alt-right to have some kind of influence on society is comical. And again, I'm not trying to white knight for fucking Nazis. Fuck them. All right? They can all die in a fire. But all five of them.
Yeah, exactly. All five of them. It was a couple of months ago. Shit, I don't remember how many months ago when someone got into the KKK's members list and then doxed them all onto Twitter. Do you guys remember that?
No.
It wasn't a very big list, and it was members of the KKK who actually weren't doing shit. Like they found there's like 5,000 of them in America, and like 5,000. That's not very many. They also haven't been doing anything. When was the last time you guys heard of a real cross burning? I know I say that, but like tomorrow, some Antifa fucking people are going to burn some crosses.
Over in New York, maybe you guys would have heard something that happened recently. There was an alt-right guy who placed some pipe bombs. Oh, wait, no, he wasn't alt-right. He was an Islamic extremist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Oops. Now,
but don't you know that white men are terrorists the mostest?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a whole thing about that. Actually, I think Antifa is also full of, I wouldn't call it controlled opposition, just a lot of useful idiots. And the more they burn down things and fucking destroy property, the higher they can get the rate of white male terrorism up in America.
True.
Actually shifting the majority of terrorist attacks away from jihadists, I guess, and closer towards domestic terrorism. And then they're going to blame the Christian right and say, "Oh, look, it's a Christian right domestic terrorism that's actually causing all the problems in America, not the jihadists, not the Islamists, not the Muslims."
Yeah.
And you wonder, because how many new domestic terrorist attacks have we had this year alone? Like maybe even a little bit of last year, but all these cases of schools getting burnt down by Antifa, or all these people that are like, fuck free speech. They're literally causing the rate of domestic terrorism to go up.
The worst group that you can hang on the Christians, I believe, in the United States would be like, what, Westboro Baptist people, right? Who are odious fuck asses that will show up to like veteran funerals and say, I don't know, God hates fags or some ridiculous thing. I mean, they're very disrespectful to what pretty much anybody might be doing. But I don't think they kill anyone. You know? I mean, they're jackasses, but they don't kill anyone. And I don't think that they're especially running around assaulting. I mean, maybe they are. Maybe I'm just ill-informed. It's possible. But I'm seeing demonstrably way more activity out of these guys. And, you know, people talk about blah, blah, violent this or that. Barack Obama was a big fan of fucking Bill Ayers, who is literally a domestic terrorist. I mean, reformed domestic terrorist, as if anybody actually would care about that if he weren't also a progressive, which makes anything he does naturally okay.
What's a reformed terrorist? Is that someone who doesn't hold the beliefs anymore that he held when he was a terrorist, or is that someone who just decided not to perform terrorist actions while still holding all the exact same beliefs?
Well, you don't know what Bill Ayers.
I mean, do not know Bill Ayers.
He says, you know, that he did wrong. Okay. And
Bill Ayers.
Well, no, let's go with the whole idea that like he just is completely contrite, right? Who would care if David Duke, okay, flipped around at some point later on in his life and said, you know what, I've decided not to be a racist. No one would care. No one would care. It wouldn't matter. Okay, you're done.
Right.
You're burned for life. For life. Now explain. And understand, I'm not arguing for fucking David Duke to get another shot. Fuck him. I'm asking, why does Bill Ayers get a shot? Because he shouldn't. He shouldn't.
Agreed.
He should be anathema.
Well,
in any kind of polite society for the rest of his days.
What about the convicted murderer and terrorist that fucking was organizing the Women's March or was leading it? What's happening there? She got deported? Did she finally get deported? How the hell did she get into the country? To Canada?
She lied on her application.
Like
so when she was exposed by some right-wing medias, the ICE went and paid her a visit and deported her ass.
But she's nevertheless leading a progressive movement.
Yep.
How is she leading
a
progressive?
Thing, like the you know what is it fucking called? Boycott, divest, and what's the other one? The movement to basically get rid of Israel through non-violent means. Right? That's the progressives are all for that, so why wouldn't they be accepting of an actual terrorist who wants to literally murder Jews? What's the problem?
Well, you know how progressive movements go, right? You're not allowed to be a Jew anymore. Judaism is a religion, and it's not the religion of peace. So you have to be weeded out and removed from positions of power. In fact, we have to give more positions of power to the Muslims, who are an oppressed group, oppressed by America and its Jewish overlords.
Well, no, it's always a game. You know, they say they like black people when they want their votes, and then they treat them like absolute trash when they become, reliable voters. Look at Detroit. Okay, that used to be per capita one of the most wealthy cities in the United States of America, and it's crashed.
They're just going to blame the fact that white people moved out of it.
Okay, right. Well, that's kind of a racist position, isn't it?
Right, it's a very racist position. The white people were racist, and they moved out because there's too many black people in Detroit. And they didn't like the fact that the black people were getting too wealthy, so they moved.
Right. Okay,
taking
so
the wealth with them.
and then there's the thing with the women. You know, they say, "Oh, we're there to help you," right? And the entire thing, it's disempowering. This is what everybody's been talking about with feminism. You know, it's like you can't take care of yourself. You can't get ahead without us. You have to give everything to us, and when you succeed, nothing you did will have mattered unless it all would have been us. And it's all obtained by just submitting and tithing your entire existence to us. And they do the exact same thing to every other group. So, you know, Jewish people, they love Jewish people when you're going to vote for them, you know. But then in the Middle East, the Jewish people aren't worth as much because there aren't as many of them as the Muslim people are. So they sell the Jewish people out and they support the Palestinians and the Saudis and so on. And because they want them to side with them over there, and so on and so forth throughout the whole thing. They like you until they have a better deal. Same thing happened.
Have a slightly different take. I not that different. I agree with the majority of what you say. I think they're selling people out, but I don't think they're selling people out as much as bending to the will of the highest bidder.
Yeah,
we're talking about the fact that
that's no affinity though.
Trump already said himself that you can't get rid of the swamp because there's nothing but swamp. There's nothing but people, what are they called, lobbyists, who show up and say they'll give you a bunch of money to make things happen, right? That's what they do. Now, it's not like these same progressive organizations don't work the exact same way. They all need money. They all need backers. They all need funders. They all need people to show up. Like, I'm sorry, like George Soros. And it's like, I'm going to give you this much money to walk through the streets. You shan't kill all cops. You fucking do it. You gotta make the NYPD look bad for whatever the fuck. You drive that narrative home that Black Lives Matter and you hate cops, or the police hate you. It's just so while you walk through the streets yelling "fuck all cops" and one of you gets beat up around the corner for an unrelated event, you have a giant mob of black people there, ready to fucking hate cops. It's the 2 minutes of fucking hatred or whatever the fuck it is, just extended over television and through a giant march. But that's not where it stops, right? It keeps going. All the progressive groups need backers and funders and supporters, and all the people that are going to sit there and accept it. So I brought it up when BLM kicked the police out of the Toronto Gay Pride March. The news media specifically stated new funders showed up, new backers, and then they assigned new leaders to the movement, to new organizers, as they like to say. They all love the fucking term organizers, fucking union bastards. And those new organizers decided that they're going to outrank and outvote everybody else and kick the cops out. Well, nobody else actually wanted that to happen. It wasn't until new backers showed up. I feel like Justin Trudeau and the rest of the politicians are doing the exact same thing. They're bending to the will of these people who show up and say, "I will donate this much money to your campaign." All you gotta do is you gotta start driving that Muslims aren't bad people, but they're like, "But we're feminists and we hate religion. We're feminist atheists." They're like, but it's okay. It's okay because they'll reform and they're not all bad. And you gotta keep saying that they're not all bad, and we'll keep bringing them in. And we should bring more of them in, and you should integrate them into your power structure. Show them how inclusive you are. You don't want to seem racist, but here's $100,000 for this next year of work.
Mm-hmm.
And they do. They start integrating these people. Well, not integrating. I personally don't see a lot of Muslims hanging out inside of feminist atheist groups, because they fundamentally would look really stupid if they were actually there. But they do. They stand outside the marches with their hijabs on, and they fucking yell, burning the American flag, that the white man is evil. Right? We've seen those videos.
Mm-hmm.
They're yelling at black people that they're fucking Uncle Tom's, burning the American flag with their hijab on, and yelling that the white man is evil. And you're like, how did you get here? Who gave you? Why do you even have a platform? Why are all these people standing there listening to you and clapping for everything you say? They must be a group organizer.
Well, and what you also get is they used to be, great friends of, the factory worker, the blue collar factory worker, the truck driver, all of that, right? And then NAFTA came along.
Okay.
Yeah. And see, suddenly, well, okay, fine.
What?
What?
Okay, fine.
Finish your point.
Logan, someone in the chat thinks that somebody said black people were getting too wealthy, and that's why the white people left Detroit. I didn't hear that, but they keep repeating it, so they're pretty sure someone said that.
I said that.
Loki said.
You said that?
I said that.
Were you being sarcastic?
Yes.
Okay.
Why?
I didn't hear it. Well, they've repeated it like 3 times in the chat. I was like, I didn't even hear you say that.
Yeah, I was being facetious or whatever the fuck that's called.
Yeah.
Speaking in the voice of somebody else potentially saying it at some point or another to make a joke.
Right. Yeah. Well.
Right.
Yeah. The progressives look at it and be like, "Oh, you couldn't oppress the black people because they got so much money, so you left, so they'd lose their jobs, something like that." Right? Is that the progressive narrative about Detroit?
Pretty much.
Good
Yes.
to go. And yeah, you forgot the progressive stack, Loki. Letting the Muslims in because the Muslims are oppressed by the big evil Israel and the big evil United States and other European countries who invaded their sovereign countries and destabilized the region for oil. Right? They're victims. Right. So victim card trumps the, rapey tendencies and, jihad.
Well,
stuff,
yeah, unless your name is Elizabeth Warren, in which case everyone turns a blind eye at the fact that you are misappropriating yourself as the Cherokee Indian, literally stealing a position that was reserved for a Native American.
Well, yeah, because she's a white woman in power. That's totally fine in the progressive stack.
No, because Sarah Palin was a white woman, or was a woman in power.
Yeah, but she had the wrong thoughts.
Boom. That's all they care about. You can be,
Exactly.
you can be a white man, you can be a white woman, you can appropriate whatever you want. If you're a progressive, you can't be bad.
Yeah.
Almost, I mean, it's actually the most amazing thing that I've been watching here is this thing that's been going on where they've been burning each other over the listen and believe stuff. It's been amazing.
It's great. The hypocrisy of the jumping back and forth.
Well, I mean, as Pat or Tuck said, they apparently are going to keep destroying themselves simply by they're going to virtue signal kill themselves.
Yeah.
And it's going to I think he's right. I think it's going to just keep going until everybody who is that crazy has annihilated themselves.
Yeah. What's funny is they keep throwing their own people under the bus in their witch hunt. Right. I mean, because you got to think, if you're throwing big name directors and producers in Hollywood under the bus, there's a clear liberal progressive slant to the Hollywood culture. There's not too many of them out there to take out that, let's accuse Clint Eastwood. That's like the biggest name I can think of off the top of my head. But he's not out there doing it.
Harvey was one of the biggest DNC funders and backers in Hollywood.
That's what I'm saying. But Clint Eastwood's not out there doing that kind of shit. So
there's a lot. I mean, if they wanted to go after somebody who maybe was just neutral, there would have been better people to go after. Harvey was completely on board, and he's getting fried.
Yeah,
it's amazing watching the whole thing. You're watching Kevin Spacey go down. You're watching Al Franken go down. I mean, people.
Now we could just get that dude that plays Hopper in Stranger Things. If we could just get him, I'll be happy.
Come on, you don't like him?
No.
Wait, who?
His fucking award acceptance speech, actors can change the world through their craft. Get the fuck out of here.
They're literally doing it right now. Most of these people are fucking actors. Aren't they?
What?
So don't they sit around fucking spewing out narratives that might not even remote? Like, I don't believe that most politicians actually believe most of the shit they say. I think they say it for the goddamn vote. Actors can absolutely become politicians.
Television actor. He's talking about Hollywood can change the world through their acting.
Yes,
not politicians.
Okay, but you know how much subversion goes on through Hollywood? They absolutely sit around and continuously show cops shooting fucking minorities, cops being corrupt, cops doing all the horrible shit. And then people just buy it up and use it. Like, I've tried having discussions with certain people, being like, "When was the last time cops did something bad?" And they're like, where are you getting this information from? Where are you under the assumption that cops are always evil and always fucking trying to arrest you and always trying to beat you up? Are you just watching YouTube videos of cops being dicks? and like taking like 15 fucking examples from 100,000 police officers.
No, they're
Are
watching
you?
the sovereign citizen videos.
Yeah,
Case interaction with
those
sovereign
are
citizens.
fucking fantastic.
Well, no,
I don't consent. I don't consent. I don't consider myself a citizen of the United States of America. You have no rights. You have no fucking rights, motherfucker.
It's a great way to get tased. But there's
Are you driving this car? He's like, I am. What? Fuck, I can't remember the response they always give.
I'm a free traveling man.
Yeah, they're like, I am traveling in this vehicle. It's like you're driving the vehicle. He's like, I am traveling in this vehicle. He's like, get the fuck out. Get out of the car. You're under arrest.
You will be tased. But
or the one in court. I don't recognize your authority. This court has no authority over me. It's like, okay, you're going to jail.
Right. So I mean, there's the whole thing with McCarthyism and the Hollywood blacklist. I mean, there's a reason why
McCarthy was right. Just throwing that out there.
Obviously, he's a controversial guy. But the thing is that there was a really strong interest by communists in the United States at that time to involve themselves with Hollywood, with media. I mean, and it's not just that; it's newspapers and all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, radio, television, newspapers, and Hollywood were their
and somebody is going to cry, conspiracy theory. Well, okay, let's back up a little bit and say, well, was the United States government not directly involved in the production of all kinds of war propaganda? Or, I mean, movies happen all the time where the U.S. government will throw money at Hollywood to change a story a little bit. And if Hollywood's smart about it, what they'll do is they'll want to do like a war movie or something, and then they'll go over to the Pentagon and they'll say, hey, we're going to basically cast the U.S. military in a positive light. So why don't you guys give us free access to, like expensive fighter
helicopters
planes and aircraft carriers and submarines and stuff, which otherwise we'd have to like build sets for, and it would be expensive, and there'd be like CGI and stuff. But now, just we'll use the real thing, which the movie public will like even better, and we won't have to pay for any of it. And all we have to do with it is have a positive, generally a positive image of the U.S. military, and then have an acknowledgement somewhere buried in the giant pile of credits that says thank you to the U.S. military or something. And there's crap like that goes on all the time. So there's obviously a propaganda value in this. Why would the U.S. government be the only entity that perceived it as such? That's ridiculous.
Because the Soviets didn't do nothing, and America is evil.
Slight side note: Michael Bay is notorious for sucking the military's dick.
Yes, he is.
He actually someone did the math on how much dick he sucks, and he basically funds the majority of his movies by signing contracts with the U.S. military to make them look good. And they give him a fuck ton of subsidies. They give him a lot of equipment and a lot of real soldiers to help him figure out what and how to shoot things.
Yeah, that Katy Perry video. Was it Part of Me? That video was shot on Camp Pendleton with a bunch of Marines. They closed down the range when I was qualifying so she could shoot her music video. They wouldn't let us do it though because they were afraid, since we're a bunch of infantry Marines, that we couldn't be trusted around Katy Perry. So shit happens.
But the thing is that there's obvious propaganda value. And,
definitely, yeah.
And Hollywood is obviously for sale. Anyone who knows anything about Hollywood knows that their entire business model is you walk around finding somebody with a bunch of money who wants to fund your movie. The guy could be selling cheese or something. You don't care. And you're like, hey, would you like to be an executive producer? And they pump a bunch of money into your thing. And now you've got all the benefit if the movie does well, and if it does poorly, some cheese merchant from Wisconsin is out how many of the millions of dollars. And you don't care.
Yeah. Anyways, but McCarthy was right. The communists were infiltrating. The communists have admitted as such. There was, the show Americans was based on something that was declassified from the Soviet Union. It doesn't say how involved it was, but they claim to have had sleeper cells in the United States that were going around campuses and getting involved in Hollywood. There were communists who were literally working for agencies in our government.
Of course.
Like it's not a thing. Like McCarthy was 100% on the right track. They literally were doing that. They were trying to infiltrate to put their propaganda in all of the media that the majority of the country accesses, so that the United States would basically implode on itself with a communist revolution. Good times, huh?
Well, yeah, and they were largely infiltrating through the guilds and the unions and whatever, who kind of had kind of a socialist Marxist thing going on in the first place, which from a certain perspective is fine. I mean, I believe in a free society where people can have their own opinions. But the thing is that it was the go-to place if you were a foreign power that was more that ideology than not. Try and find sympathizers.
Right. Well, that's the current fear from some. I don't know how legitimate it is the Chinese money going into Hollywood, and that they might be trying something similar to get more influence, because they had to change, what was it, Iron Man 3 for the Chinese release. There was a shit ton of money that was put into that movie by China.
Right.
And to what ends, as I don't see them trying to convert the United States to communism.
But
I'm sure there's some ulterior. Huh?
Do you guys want to try and sit down and watch Iron Man 3, the Chinese release?
Oh no.
There's an amazing, actually, a Chinese action movie that I want to watch at some point, and it involves Chinese commandos saving African villagers from American mercenaries who laugh while they kill them. And,
sure, we do. I mean,
and it looks really, really good. Like, I think it looks like Expendables, the Chinese version. And I'm not offended by the Chinese coming up with a movie where the Americans are bad guys. I don't care. When I sit down and I watch a movie, I just get my popcorn. With the because reality is reality, and the movie is the movie. And what the propagandists always want to do, whatever their ideology, they always want you to conflate the movie with reality. No, you're always looking at odds. It is always munchkins and flying monkeys, and just you sit down and you just enjoy the Emerald City. But but yeah, so I if you guys wanted to watch that, that'd be great. I'll get the name of the stupid thing. I've said before, I am name retarded. So.
Yeah. Oh, so I do want to read this third one. I really do, because I don't understand what it's saying. So it says, the belief in a cathedral in quotations, similar to the role ideology plays in leftist theory, but one that pushes progressive ends, feminism, multiculturalism, democracy, equality, and a hostility towards this cathedral. So is it saying the cathedral is progressive ends? I'm not sure what it's saying.
What do they mean by cathedral? I mean, because a cathedral, it's like the big building. It's a big church.
Well, cathedral in the mind sense.
Okay, mental cathedral.
Are you sure? What does the cathedral imply?
I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're thinking in the abstract, not the literal. Is what
you can Control F through the article until maybe see if cathedral actually has a definition somewhere, or if they're just making shit up as they go along now, just trying to make religious fucking connotations towards things.
I put it in the stream chat. It says belief in a cathedral, similar to the role ideology plays in leftist theory, but one that pushes progressive ends, feminism, multiculturalism, democracy, equality, and a hostility towards this cathedral. And obviously, the whole thing didn't fit, but it was the word cathedral at the end.
So what are they just talking? They're basically using that as a stand-in for like a pseudo-religious, like moral ideological system. Yeah?
Right. Well, yeah, that's what I said. But it sounds like she's saying that the alt-right that runs Silicon Valley, that are reactionaries, basically created the belief in a cathedral about the left, like the progressive ends, as being a religion to tear down.
Okay, I'm following.
Well, so
That's what I think it means, but I'm not clear.
By her argument, the alt-right has to be predominantly Democrats then, because the guys who run Silicon Valley donate to Democrats.
Right. Well, see, and here's the thing. Number 4, she clearly spells out it's a white people issue predominantly that she's going with. So it's white, or less frequently East Asian, or still less frequently South Asian nationalism, accompanied by scientific racism, eugenics, social Darwinism, degeneration theory, biological determinism, and a belief that ethnic uniformity increases social capital.
Yeah.
Right. So very. Hold on. There's 2 little sentences. Very frequently accompanied with anti-Semitism and the anti-Semitic canards of the early 20th century, almost always accompanied with Islamophobia. Yeah. Right. Now she's describing that this is the Silicon Valley is being taken over by the alt-right is her thesis. And so she's saying this is what the predominant belief is in Silicon Valley, which is laughable, but it is giving a decent description of what I think the alt-right is.
Well,
just wrong about the location.
Well, no, but it's also explaining exactly how the label is used, because one of the things that's going on in Silicon Valley is, we saw what's going on inside of Google right now, where basically the inside of Google has gone full Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
The entire industry is going through this whole you're not empowering the women's, and so any situation where there's any kind of disparity between the really high end jobs for men versus women, there's the immediate labeling of sexism. Never mind the fact that the guy that is getting that job is probably A, a prodigy, and B, is busting his ass. Whereas the person that you're saying should have gotten the job instead is probably A, not a prodigy, and B, really doesn't want to work outside of 9 to 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, and they're always focused on inequality in these jobs. Was it Jason Damore?
Yep.
His point seemed extremely valid. It was that they're going about it all like they're hiring them arbitrarily to fill the quotas, but not putting them in positions or jobs that are actually appealing to them. They're not making it something that they actually like and enjoy. And somehow that is sexist. I'm not sure exactly how. Because, clearly women and men are not typically interested in the same things. And that's what he was pointing out. It's like there is a place for them here, but you're not utilizing it properly. And out the door he went.
Well, what he did was he suggested that a lot of the people that were pointing fingers were doing so illegitimately.
Yeah.
And that's the mistake, because, or at least, if you don't want to get the ire of these people, because the whole point is they want to legitimize illegitimately pointing their finger and burning people.
Yeah.
That's the entire point. It's that power of being able to crook your finger at somebody and have them burn. And if evidence, very inconvenient. Some sort of a standard where, oh my God, you can't control whether someone's going to burn just by pointing at them. All that is problematic, because what they want is to just arbitrarily burn people.
Right.
Like burn people, like expose them for what they are, or burn people, like burn them at the stake?
As far as they can take it. They unfortunately, from their own perspective, they can only ruin their career, ostracize people, and tarnish their name with their peers forever. That's all they can do right now. It's if they could literally tie somebody to a stake and masturbate while the person screams while the flesh is flaking off their face, they would do that instead. But so far, that's not an option. But they're working.
Someday they'll get there.
Well, they are looking for a post-digital world to express their feminism in. I think we could make that happen. I will put together a device to let you upload your brain to that place. It will be shaped like a gun, but don't worry about it right now. Um. Yeah. God damn. We've gone so far beyond the original topic of the stream.
I tried to bring it back.
I know, I know, I know, I know. But no, but this is actually a really interesting topic, and it's really fun to look at.
But honestly,
Well,
I think it's all related, frankly.
No, of course it's all related. That's why when we started the identity stream, everyone said we should do a follow up because no one was happy with the amount that we.
I'm going to take this train and I'm going to put it back on the rails. What percentage of the alt right are racist Nazis?
All of them.
As stated by the media, or in my
as in the actuality of realness.
Oh, God damn. Okay. Like 2%, maybe. Maybe less.
That's pretty high. Yeah, I was gonna say less than that.
Yeah.
Here you go. I got a good one for you, Loki. So number 7 is cultural touchstones in war-based video games and tabletop games, such as the Imperium in Warhammer 40,000, along with The Matrix, a movie ironically written and directed by 2 trans women, partially about gender theory. One in any case that the neo-reactionaries have unfortunately clinged to in a bad reading.
Wait, 2 trans women?
Yeah, dude.
Yes, they both went trans.
They both fucking converted to women?
Yes.
What the fuck is happening? I only noticed that one went.
Both.
It went from the Wachowski brothers to the Wachowski siblings to the Wachowski sisters?
Yep.
What? That's news to me.
Oh. But the point was that video games, tabletop games, The Matrix, are all used by the alt-right as like battle cries and symbolism for our superiority.
Wait, what if we're looking at all of this completely wrong? What if it's not like the alt-right as in the alternative to the left, but it's actually the people who are alternatively right? Like we think we're right, but they're also right because they're the alt-right.
Well, no. The alternative to the right is the left, and as Will pointed out,
well, I mean,
a lot
alternatively
of it
to the wrong, like alternatively to wrong.
No, I'm saying is they're a lot of the things that are listed are things that would also apply to progressives.
Yes.
Right? Now, anti-Semitism, see a lot of that, right?
Yes.
Eugenics, there's still a bunch of eugenics in there. They've kind of flipped it around a little bit. You know, they've had to ignore parts of it but keep others, right?
Right.
Let's see. Ethnic uniformity increases social capital. I don't know if that would really work. What do you think?
Yeah, because if everyone's the same, like, how are you going to be worth more?
They do well. They don't. Well, first off, they don't care about social capital. But the word capital when you're dealing with these people is problematic.
Tricky.
Yeah. But I mean,
there are areas where they want ethnic monocultures. All of a sudden, like in the Arab world, they don't argue for a polyglot society. They are very much a fan of everybody getting kicked out of Muslim Arab majority countries because it's wrong for anybody but them to be there. And then all of us explain that, and like, so if there are Coptic Christians or Jews or Hindus or whatever in those countries, they go silent on trying to defend those ethnic and religious minorities. It's only in places where it suits them, where they tend to push for that stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I feel like I kind of got lost, or zoned out for a bit.
That ain't my problem.
Okay, so here we'll try number 8 since the games didn't trigger you with the
the games absolutely triggered me. But are they just saying that because we call them God Emperor Trump from the Warhammer 40,000 reference?
Yeah.
Is that Like,
Yes.
Yep. And the only reason they're citing Matrix is because the red pill, blue pill thing. All they're doing is they're saying that, well, because these movies and games are used as means, they are become tools of the Nazis.
But the movies came out in the 1990s and had nothing to do with gender identity or any of that.
40K came out in the 70s.
Are they just opposed to thought in general? Do they just want you to listen and believe? Is that all there ever is?
1984.
Anything that is used to advance a contrary position is a tool of Satan.
So what Daniel did was he used he started taking Brave New World and turned it into an alt-right mimetic medium.
Yeah.
And they had to shut him down?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Here, you'll like the last one. I think we'll particularly like this one.
All right.
Right? Among the less academic, an obsession with cuckoldry and the use of mass harassment tactics, death threats, rape threats, DDoS, doxing, swatting, misinformation campaigns, etc., to silence enemies. That is a hallmark of the alt-right.
Mm-hmm.
Weird that minus the cuckoldry, all those same things are done by social justice folks and progressives.
Well, no, I mean, they don't cite cuckoldry, but one thing which they will frequently do is they will attack the sexuality or the sexual market value of somebody who's opposed to them, right? Which is not, they're not calling you a cuck, but they're saying you're not getting the requisite amount of sex.
But we touched upon this. The left literally wanted sexuality to be worth money, and if we're questioning your sexual worth, should we not? Is all sex equal the same thing all across the board? Is everyone required to give blowjobs for $10?
I mean, that would redistribute the vaginas.
No one said vaginas. They said blowjobs. $10 blowjobs, and everyone has to give them. We're not part of a sexual union, are we?
Yeah,
we could be.
The union doesn't dictate what my sexuality is worth. What my
that's what they want to do.
How much stamina I have. I know that's what they want to do. I was fucking born in a union.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean like a union between two people under God. I mean a Soviet Union.
I know.
Where people dictate how much food you get.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking food rations, guys.
No, one of the things that they like to do, and you've heard them do this, is when they start losing a political thing, they'll say, hey, ladies, don't date or have sex with men who hold this position, right? That's what they want to do. They want to presume to withhold sex to get their political position, and that on the individual level of individual women to support a group political movement.
The revolution is won in the bedroom, sisters.
Yep.
Well, I mean, this is not an exaggeration. They've done this.
Yeah,
we're talking about alt-right still.
I mean, there's dozens of articles, probably hundreds, from 2016 about this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sleeping on the couch because I voted for Trump.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah,
are you ready?
Did you just join and leave
now because he voted for Trump? My cousins are kind of bummed.
Would you like to hear the leading paragraph in the summing up of this paper? It's beautiful.
All right, let's hear it.
Traditional anti-fascist tactics have largely been formulated in response to 20th century fascism. I am not confident that they will be sufficient to defeat neo-reactionaries. That is not to say they will not be useful, merely insufficient. Neo-reactionaries must be fought on their own grounds, the internet, and with their own tactics, doxing especially, which has been shown to be effective at threatening the alt-right. Information must be spread about neo-reactionaries such that they lose opportunities to accumulate capital and social capital. They must not be able to use social media without having to answer for their beliefs and actions.
So, and did they not say the quote alt-right was evil for doing the doxing?
Yep.
Yes.
And then they just said, well, that's why we're going to be doing the doxing.
We need to especially be doxing because it's very effective.
Right.
It's like, you know, these Nazis are throwing Jews in these ovens. I think we should start throwing Jews in ovens too. That'll teach them.
Yeah.
Take that.
Well, now I'm just unhappy on several different levels.
Well, this is why I like this paper is because it shows what I have been saying. The alt-right and the progressives are basically two sides of the same coin, and I am not even in the same currency.
Does that mean you were wrong for this new year when you suggested that this year the alt-right will actually become more prevalent than ever, but it wasn't the alt-right?
No, they have, and then I said they will put her out so that the progressives will leapfrog again. That was my prediction. Don't misquote me to me.
Well, here's one thing that I will leave anyone with who wants the Nazis to not become a thing. Think of all the times in which a fascist or Nazi whatever movement has risen up where there weren't a whole bunch of fucking communists that rose up immediately before.
Yep.
It's never happened. It's never happened. And what did we see?
How like Hitler was actually part of a lefty art school.
For a moment, okay? We saw this craziness from Antifa running around all over the place. The alt-right was not popping around, especially when Antifa got going.
Remember all the people getting beaten up in Trump rallies? Remember Chicago when that rally couldn't even be held?
And so what we see is Antifa goes bananas with an overtly Marxist position. And shockingly, yet again, you start to see some fascistic bullshit that rises up around it. And, you know, if you sincerely wanted to stop the fascists, you would deal with the communists, okay? The people that just go after the fascists while leaving the communists alone, you know, you're just going to get the notion. It's just going to happen. It's too stupid to even bother, you know, explaining it to people at a certain point. It's just like open your fucking eyes.
Nope.
Agreed. 100%.
Sorry, I missed all that. Wait for a second.
There's more. You want me to read while you're handling whatever that is?
I already finished handling it, but fuck. Okay, let's keep going. See if I kill myself today. See if Facebook messages.
Well, I skipped down to the end. I mean, I could go back up. There's a whole bunch of useless twaddle. Let's try to find the juicier parts.
Juicier parts. The useless twaddle is just going to make me keep fucking scratching at my wrist.
Okay, so a recent development we must pay attention to is the increase in no-shows by fascists when Antifa learns about fascist rallies. This is a trend I've noticed, though one which perhaps I'm misinterpreting. Over the past year and could have the dangerous effect of painting Antifas as the boy who cried wolf, and the use of liberal arguments, much like those used in the Lambda Conf debacle, I don't know what that is, to justify the inclusion of fascists who are less open about the implications of their beliefs and less committed to wearing the iconography historically associated with their beliefs.
They're upset about the fact that they find out about Nazi demonstrations or fascist or anti-fascist or alt-right demonstrations. And they're upset about the fact that they don't show up and they don't wear the paraphernalia that people associate with Nazis.
They're upset that their people are making it harder for them to label everybody a Nazi. Like if you just showed up like with a fucking Totenkopf on a little black hat and gave a little Hitler salute all over the place, that'd be super thanks.
Is that why they're literally putting their people into the fascists?
Yes.
So they can literally dress the part, Hitler salute when necessary, and then go ha 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 ha. That's the people.
Yeah. That's literally what Hillary's campaign got caught doing. That was with the whole Project Veritas thing. They infiltrated one of her little dirty trick organizations, and so remember all those like crazy altercations that were happening at Trump rallies. It was revealed through that a fair number of those. And this was also before some progressive fuckwit comes in here and goes like, oh, well, you're just saying that because you like Trump. He was doing it. They were doing it to Bernie Sanders as well. Okay, it was Hillary fucking over everybody, not her, and so there were people that were getting sent to the Trump rallies specifically to create negative optics, and they were doing the same thing to Bernie Sanders. And if that's just okay, then get used to having the person that you're going to elect be chosen for you by your new fucking yes. Well, they are effective.
They're always okay with their own shitty tactics, aren't they?
I mean,
it's not like they're like, oh, I don't like doxing, but I'm going to dox everybody. No, they're like, no, fuck, we need to dox these fucking fascists. And then they get doxed, and they're like, well, I'm a lefty, and I'll be protected. It's okay if we do it.
I'll be on MSNBC.
You're just following orders, buddy. And by the way, the ends justify the means, right? Because by any means necessary.
Right. Right. Just constant triggering today on my end. Just constantly being triggered.
You pick the topic.
I picked the topic, and I know all of these things. I've just been reminded of them. Just triggers all the negative reactions.
Yeah. By any means necessary. That was literally what that stupid Berkeley group was called. And
they have school teachers.
They're still there.
Well, sure, and it's by any means necessary because the ends justify the means.
Yep.
In their notion. I mean, where have we heard that before?
It's like if you think someone's a Nazi, punch a Nazi.
Right, exactly. If I point at somebody and I say a Juden, you killed the Jew, right?
Yep.
But not a Nazi, surely.
Yeah, they use fascism to fight fascism. Right, like fighting fire with fire.
That's that'll supposed to work.
That'll fix it.
I think.
Actually, you fight fire with explosions, or water. Well, or was it halon? Halon works.
If you start a bigger fire, then you can just suffocate the other fires.
Yeah.
No, you use an explosion, right? You don't actually fight fire with fire. You use an explosion if need be.
Guys, I think you're talking about a fuel air bomb.
No. That's their solution. Like, there's a forest fire. We better get some fuel bombs and drop it on there.
No, yeah, it's just pathetic hypocrisy.
We'll light the path that the fire is taking ahead of it about a mile. Then there'll be a wall of fire to stop the fire.
And what makes all of this, and this is, I guess, the thing that I find the most distressing, and this is not just about any one group, but I would say this is about our entire civilization. This is multinational. This is the entire Western world. This is a problem. People are not clearly defining what they're talking about. Like, you ask somebody what right or left means, or what it means to be conservative or liberal, their answers are all over the fucking place. These are garbage terms. Like, they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about, and they're just dumb banners that people fight behind, and that's on all sides. I mean, just talk about the stupid issues and stop with the label. I mean, I'm okay with labels. I got no problem with labels if they mean something. Like, mayonnaise means something. I know what that is. I know what mustard is. I'm okay.
Are you
with
sure?
labels.
Because I've been reading the ingredients to what mayonnaise should be, and I've been reading the ingredients on mayonnaise cans, and I do not find the proper correlation.
Just like our political parties.
It depends on how terrible your mayonnaise is. But the point is,
sometimes it's pretty terrible.
The point is,
looks like we got ourselves a partisan here.
There is strong correlation and a good understanding of what labels are, usually outside of politics. But once it gets political, there's an enormous amount of sophistry, and people start playing around with the definitions of stuff until they get the answer they want. And everything turns into garbage. And so rather than talking about the labels, I've used some labels, and I'm sure that's annoyed somebody. But the point is, what you want to do generally is talk about what people believe, rather than trying to get people to burn each other. And if there's anything I've been saying here, I haven't been saying burn the progressive. That is not my position. My position has been be skeptical of attempts to get people burned. And that has been the whole theme of the last 5 years, easily, of American politics. It's been one crazy, harebrained, ridiculous scheme to start one witch trial after another. It's endless. And at a certain point, it's like either everyone just kill each other, and we're gonna like put on the S&M leathers, get mohawks, and go cruising about the waste looking for juice. You know, the holy gasoline with our fucking Australian sheepdog. Yeah, fucking do that. Or we can just say, hold on, why don't we not annihilate all human civilization and regress to the barbarians?
Wait. That's completely narrative to Daniel's new movement that he's starting.
It's true.
So I think I want to wrap up real quick and give everybody a small chance to chill. Okay, so pretty much at the same place we ended the identity stream on. Kind of stopping at what it means to identify as whatever politics. Most people have no idea what those things are. So none of us can truly identify as anything without giving misconceptions to all the other people in the world. Because nothing means anything at this point because it's been fucking ruined. And so you have to be very careful when you identify yourself as anything. From just I guess as a quick wrap up, the kids are not alt-right, guys. They are not. The majority of them are confused teenagers that join groups thinking they're shitlords, supporting Trump, or because it's the new energy thing to do. Later on, apparently these groups are started by Antifa members or other leftist. Or
it's alright. It's gone now.
Or other leftist organizations that really need you to show up to create a really good demonstration for them to point at and say that is what we're against. Just like all those people that show up to anti-free speech rallies that say "fuck the cops" and I want to rape everybody. It's people going, "We need to censor speech," and then you go, "Why?" And then look at that guy standing in our crowd over there, who's saying we should murder all cops. That should probably be not allowed. And it's a problem solution reaction bullshit, isn't it? Yeah. You suggest you guys in the chat know what I'm talking about.
Well, it's the whole begging the question thing. I mean, they're create a situation so that they can get the thing they want.
Right.
And the solution to every problem is the same thing. That's always the thing that's dead giveaway. If no matter what the problem is, the solution is always the same, then it's just an asshole who is trying to fit what he wants to every scenario. He's not like actually analyzing it and trying to come up with, the appropriate solution to X. He's just throwing the same solution at every single thing.
And the solution seems to be cultural Marxism, where nothing means anything. We should all obey whatever the talking figures on television say. But never question the narrative. Why even bother questioning it? But we're going to continue questioning it, guys. So, as a final wrap-up, I'd like to mention that Tuck is here with us. He just released a new cover song that I think you should all go check out. I will link his channel in the description after this video is done. Tuck, would you like to inform us of anything?
Nah.
No.
You did all my shilling for me at the end.
Nice.
All right.
That's efficient. That's very efficient, Tuck.
As a follow-up, me and Tuck are going to be doing another conspiracy stream sometime in the next couple of days. We don't know who's willing to host our conspiracy stream, so we don't know where it's going to be. Stay tuned through Twitter or Discord or God knows where.
Well, no one's listening to this anyway. It's all right.
Yeah.
No one cares.
We'll let you guys.
It's just better to accept it.
Question nothing, believe everything.
There we go.
You got to find it first.
Daniel,
someone out there make a Patreon for me and then take all the money.
All right, I'll start a new Patreon.
I'll do it. No, I called it.
Daniel,
he literally called it before you.
Is starting a new movement. Daniel, would you like to tell us about your new movement?
It's a secret.
I thought it was a secret.
It's not ready to be revealed.
Well, I guess
you told me to get a website first.
There you go.
I told you to get a website. I told you to get a GoFundMe, a Patreon, everything.
Yeah, and a website.
If you guys want to go join the Discord, we all hang out.
I will.
All of our secret informations that we all talk about is all in there.
I literally post my address every day in the Discord server.
Yep. Yep. So if you ever want to get informed on anything, don't bother with social media that tries to censor us and hide our information, not tell you when we're broadcasting, what to subscribe to, or where to go. Just come get the information straight from us.
There's also occasionally pornography in there.
There's a lot of boobs, guys.
It's
but we always
let not very good pornography, but you know.
That's true, and I like to play the game Boy or Girl. I think we've all played the game Boy or Girl. All three frequently.
Loki, that was fucking disgusting. Okay, like that's just fucking disgusting.
It's food for thought, and it makes you wonder.
No, it makes me fucking Ralph.
Also,
all right, guys.
Everyone's favorite homosexual.
Me. Oh, Hero Morgs, you're here too. Don't forget about Hero Morgs. He's got a gaming channel where he does a very child-friendly stream.
What?
Through Creativerse. Yeah. I'll come visit him once in a while.
So he can touch the children. Very child-friendly.
Only their hearts. Only their hearts. Not the other parts.
At least you're not queer kid stuff.
Yeah. See, Daniel keeps telling me that he was there to get the hearts and minds of the Iraqi people. But all I can think is like hearts and minds. Aim for the hearts and minds, guys. Just
two to the chest, one to the head.
Yep.
There it is. There's hearts and minds.
And the pink one's the stink.
And hi, Kat. We'll welcome late, I guess.
Not with them.
Huh? All right.
Is that it?
The kids are not alt-right.